The scope of damage coming into focus in Florida tonight. New drone video shows Hurricane Nicole has left shorelines destroyed and homes hanging off the edge. Now, the storm that left a path of devastation is moving its way up the East Coast. It's a ballot-by-ballot process in Arizona and Nevada tonight as we await election results in both states. The fight for control of the Senate and the House still up in the air. A look at where the numbers stand and when we will see the final results. Turbulence at Twitter. It's been just 2 weeks since billionaire Elon Musk bought the company and fired half its workforce. Now, new audio obtained by ABC News gives us a listen to Musk's ultimatum to Twitter employees: return to the office or resign. Liberation underway. The tide is changing in Kherson, Ukraine, as President Zelensky says special military units are dealing a humiliating blow to Vladimir Putin. Our James Longman is in Ukraine again tonight. 'Tis the season for diverse Santas, representing holiday revelers across the world. My conversation with Black Santa about bringing Kris Kringle to life, how his family inspired his mission, and the new documentary that takes us inside Santa Camp.
Clearly there's a need and a want out there, and I'm fulfilling it for people and making folks happy.
Behind the curtain of K-pop, a new show tells the story of the global musical sensation, how stars go from unknown to idols, and all the work it takes to get there. Our Juju Chang takes us to Broadway.
It felt like all of us could just take a breath and be like, oh my gosh, I've never been able to speak Korean in a room. And here we kind of just get to be together and celebrate.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Kana Whitworth in for Lindsay Davis, and thank you so much for streaming with us on this Veterans Day as we honor those who served our country. And we began this week with a major question: which party would control both chambers of Congress? And tonight, it's still up for grabs. So the Senate is too close to call. Republicans holding a 49-48 advantage, but a runoff is looming in Georgia, and uncalled races in Arizona and Nevada will decide. And while the GOP has a current advantage on the House side, it's not enough to claim the majority. So Nevada might help answer the Senate question, with Democratic incumbent Catherine Cortez Masto clawing back against Republican challenger Adam Laxalt as thousands of outstanding ballots are being counted. And for some, the wait is leading to suspicion, including from Arizona Republican governor candidate Kari Lake, who finds herself in a neck-and-neck race and is now planting seeds of doubt around the pace of the returns without any real proof. But listen, one thing we do know is that the Democratic process is at work, and neither party can stake a claim just yet. Here's ABC's senior national correspondent Terry Moran in Phoenix tonight.
Tonight, with votes still being counted in Arizona, some voters here are angry and suspicious that the results aren't in.
I don't know why every other state, except a handful, can count everything by now, except Arizona.
Thank you, Eric.
Kari Lake, the Republican candidate for governor and an election denier, is now spreading vague conspiracy theories, accusing election officials of trying to slow roll the vote counting, but offering no proof. Overnight, those officials fought back.
Quite frankly, it is offensive for Kari Lake to say that these people behind me are slow rolling this when they're working 14 to 18 hours.
Overnight, a drop of just over 78,000 new votes from Maricopa County pushed Democrats statewide ahead.
I'll tell you what, folks, I am feeling confident tonight.
Democratic incumbent Senator Mark Kelly has expanded his lead over challenger Blake Masters. The race for governor's tighter, but Lake is confident she'll beat Democrat Katie Hobbs.
100% we're going to win this, and I think the whole ticket's going to win. I think Blake may even win.
Meanwhile, in neighboring Nevada, Republican challenger Adam Laxalt has a slight but shrinking lead over incumbent Senator Catherine Cortez Masto. Still tens of thousands of votes left to count.
We're doing everything in our power to move ballots forward just as quickly as we can. I can't finish all the mail until it all comes in.
That is how it goes. Terry Moran now joining us there from Phoenix. Terry, how are election officials trying to ease the concerns as ballot counting stretches into the weekend now?
Well, Kana, they're trying to explain what's really happening, that there's no real reason for suspicion or accusations of incompetence. It's by law that they have to scan and signature verify and get adjudicated by a bipartisan board every single ballot, and that can't start until Election Day. They got a lot of ballots on Election Day. That's the reason. They're also urging patience because they remember what happened a couple of years ago when some vote count centers were surrounded by mobs. But Canada, this year does seem different. People may feel frustrated. They may feel angry about what's going on, but so far, they're keeping calm. Kana?
Right, and those officials try to be transparent about this slow process. I know. Terry, thank you. And while we wait here, next week could then clarify what the Republican primary in 2024 will look like. Former President Trump is expected for now to announce another run for the White House on Tuesday. That is the same day that former Vice President Mike Pence has a new book out, and it includes potentially damaging insight into Trump's behavior after his 2020 loss. Here's ABC News Chief Washington correspondent John Carl.
With a growing number of Republicans blaming Donald Trump for the party's poor showing in the midterms, the former president is lashing out at two of the GOP's most popular governors, Glenn Youngkin of Virginia and Ron DeSantis of Florida, who he called an average Republican governor with great public relations. And he added, Ron DeSanctimonious is playing games by not ruling out his own run for president. In terms of loyalty and class, that's really not the right answer. And while Trump's closest advisors and even members of his own family asked him to delay announcing another presidential campaign, Trump is moving forward with plans to launch his 2024 bid for the White House next Tuesday. It comes just as his formerly loyal Vice President Mike Pence is out with a new book, So Help Me God, painting a decidedly unflattering portrait of Trump's behavior after he lost the 2020 election. Pence writes about Trump's efforts to pressure him to use his position presiding over the certification of the election to reject Joe Biden's electoral votes. I told him that I did not believe I possessed the power under the Constitution to decide which votes to accept or reject. You're too honest, he chided. Hundreds of thousands are going to hate your guts. People are going to think you're stupid. On the morning of January 6th, Trump erupted when Pence said yet again that he didn't think he could do what Trump was demanding. The president laid into me, Pence wrote. You'll go down as a wimp, he predicted. If you do that, I made a big mistake 5 years ago. A few hours later, when the mob invaded the Capitol, some of them chanting, "Hang Mike Pence," Trump tweeted that Pence didn't have the courage to overturn the election. In the book, Pence called the tweet reckless, writing, "The president had decided to be part of the problem."
Scathing words there from the former Vice President John Carl, joining us now from Washington. So, John, former President Trump still expected to announce that he is running on Tuesday, even though some allies, even advisors, are urging him not to.
All systems would go for Donald Trump to announce his 2024 presidential campaign, his third presidential campaign, Tuesday night in Mar-a-Lago. And this despite the fact that virtually all of his advisors, current advisors and former advisors who I have spoken to say that they had been hoping, in fact, some of them pleading to hold off on that announcement, at least until after the Georgia Senate runoff election next month. This includes members of Trump's own family, but Trump has been adamant. He's going forward with the announcement on Tuesday, and he expects Republican leaders up and down the line to get on board and to support his candidacy. Kana?
Okay, thank you, John.
Thank you.
And you can watch David Muir's exclusive sit-down with Mike Pence on his role in January 6th and his time inside the Trump White House. That's on Monday on World News, and then an extended version right here on ABC News Live. Now, next tonight, the remnants of Hurricane Nicole racing up the East Coast. This after slamming Florida's Atlantic coast. Dozens of homes and hotels damaged and destroyed in Volusia County. That's the Daytona Beach area. Heavy rain and wind reached South Carolina as well. And then a tornado watch for much of the day in Dinwiddie, Virginia. Rob Marciano will have the forecast in a moment. But first, Stephanie Ramos has more on Nicole's path of destruction.
Tonight, remnants of Hurricane Nicole now moving up the East Coast. Tornado sirens sounding in downtown Richmond.
Oh boy, look right here at the lightning strikes. Those lightning strikes really cycling up.
Heavy rain inundating drivers in Boone, North Carolina. Hurricane Nicole made landfall early Thursday south of Daytona Beach as a rare November Category 1 storm. And it absolutely eviscerated Florida's coastline. Dozens of homes and hotels crumbling to pieces down below or left teetering and uninhabitable. ABC's Victor Oquendo in Daytona Beach shores.
Residents tell me they have never seen anything like this. Authorities have declared 49 buildings unsafe, calling the structural damage unprecedented, and there is still danger. Officials warning if you go anywhere near the beach, you are putting your life in jeopardy.
Climate scientists say rising seas are making coastal floods flow deeper inland, making once-in-a-century incidents like this much more frequent.
And our thanks to Stephanie Ramos tonight. And now to ABC's senior meteorologist, Rob Marciano. Rob, messy conditions. They're already hitting the East Coast. Can you time out the remnants of Nicole for us?
Well, the good news, Kana, is that what's left of Nicole has really picked up some steam. Was in Georgia this morning. The center is now in West Virginia, moving northeast at about 47 miles per hour. So we'll try to get out of here quickly, but it'll still take some time. Here it is on the radar scope. It's kind of combining with a cold front that's merging with it, and that's helping squeeze some of this moisture out. You see the rain shield all the way through New York and New England, and then a bit of a break, and then the main part of this system will push through later on tonight and tomorrow. Here's how it looks on our computer models. Some heavy rain moving through western parts of Pennsylvania and New York and upstate New York. So we could see some more isolated flooding. And then behind this thing, once it does clear out, not till really late tomorrow, we look for colder air, much colder air to roll in behind this. And wind chills tomorrow morning in places like Pierce, South Dakota, it's going to feel like 2. -3 in Fargo. That is certainly more like winter than even November, but it's felt more like September here the past couple of days. It looks like nearly all of the lower 48, Kana, by Sunday will have below average temperatures. So get that winter coat ready. Kana?
Okay, bundling up, Rob. Thank you. Now to Ukraine, and a major milestone for Ukrainian forces regaining control of the key southern city of Kherson today. But Russian forces are exacting a heavy toll on their way out. Here's ABC's James Longman.
Tonight, relief and jubilation on the streets of Kherson. 30,000 Russian troops now completing their stunning retreat from the city. They've been chased out by Ukrainian forces who are now back in control of a huge swathe of this region after more than 8 long months of brutal Russian occupation. President Zelensky proclaiming it a historic day. Ukrainian success on the battlefield, but Russia still makes civilians pay a heavy cost. An early morning missile strike leveled this apartment building in nearby Mykolaiv. At the police cordon, Alexander comes asking for news.
Who are you trying to get through to, sir?
I'm looking for my daughter, he says. After an anxious wait, emergency workers signal they've found something.
It's the news he was dreading. It's his daughter. He's been told.
Natalia is among 7 killed here.
Just to say thank you for speaking to us. I know, there's nothing I can say. There's nothing I can say.
This is the result, he says. I wish I could catch that Putin. Before we leave, he shows us her passport.
And that's today's date. It was her birthday today. She was 34 years old.
And James is joining us now. James, I mean, what you have shown us tonight and over this last week has been incredible. Now that Russia has been forced to withdraw, there's some speculation of negotiations here. So what are the actual chances of Ukraine agreeing to talks now?
Not good, Kana. I mean, no Ukrainian you speak to here thinks that negotiations are a good idea. I mean, it's interesting, if you hear some of the music coming out of the United States, particularly it was interesting this week, Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, saying that it was pretty clear that there wasn't going to be an outright military victory on either side, and that would suggest that there has got to be a negotiation of some kind. But Ukrainians would absolutely disagree. They have the upper hand. They don't feel that they want to give that away and essentially negotiate land away. And they would point to the fact that they've been negotiating with Vladimir Putin before. Don't forget, he invaded in 2014. He annexed Crimea, annexed part of the Donbass. They entered into negotiations, and every step of the way, the Russian leader lied to them. So the Ukrainians will say, we've tried negotiations, we're now trying war, and we're winning, so help us win outright. Most people watching around the world might think that that's unlikely, that this is a great, incredible superpower to Ukraine's north, with one of the most powerful armies in the world. How could Ukraine possibly think about completely beating them on the battlefield? But they would point to Kherson, this extraordinary liberation of the largest city that was under Russian occupation. And the Ukrainians think, well, if we can do that, we can do anything. Kana?
Oh, that's certainly understandable, James, and such important perspective there from the ground, James. Thank you. We turn now to Twitter and the ongoing turmoil as the Elon Musk era begins. It's been an ugly transition, to say the least, and tonight we're hearing an audio message of Musk addressing Twitter employees directly. He has an ultimatum for them, and that's not the only thing he said that is making headlines. Here's ABC's chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman.
Tonight, amid Twitter's public meltdown, ABC News obtaining exclusive audio of new owner Elon Musk's all-hands meeting, warning of possible bankruptcy.
I think we just definitely need to bring in more cash than we spend, or if we don't do that and there's a massive negative cash flow, then bankruptcy is not out of the question.
The forum open to questions, many focusing on Musk's laying off of half of Twitter's 7,500-person workforce.
Why is our leadership trying to increase attrition rate if we're already understaffed and barely able to keep things running?
I think we are overstaffed. That is my opinion.
And warning those working from home.
If people do not return to the office when they are able to return to the office, they cannot remain at the company.
As some employees rebel and former employees join a suit, the site itself in chaos, with the company forced to amend its proposal for paid verified accounts after impersonations of major brands like Chiquita, Pepsi, even Tesla soared.
On a scale of 1 to 10, the meltdown at Twitter is about 11.
And thank you, Matt Gutman. We now want to welcome in Elizabeth Lopato, a senior reporter at Verge who produces a newsletter about Elon Musk and follows every bit of information about Twitter. So, Elizabeth, we are just now over 2 weeks into Elon Musk's ownership here. There have been layoffs, resignation, financial losses, product changes. I know you have one word to describe what's happening there at Twitter. What is it?
Chaos. We are experiencing chaos.
No kidding. Oh, a major headline that we see, and I mean, it happened yesterday, the ultimatum that Elon Musk gave to employees about returning to the office. ABC News obtained the audio, so let's listen to what he told everybody.
Let me be crystal clear. If people do not return to the office when they are able to return to the office, they cannot remain at the company. End of story.
All right, so in your opinion, is that just sort of classic Musk?
Yeah, he's pretty ruthless. One of the things that we saw in the texts that came out of the lawsuit when he was trying to back out of the Twitter deal was that he and Jason Calacanis were talking about return to office that might potentially lead to 20% of the employees engaging in voluntary departures. And of course, what that means is that you don't have to pay severance.
Wow. Well, he also got a lot of attention with what he said about the financial state of the company, though. I mean, talking about paying severance here. Bankruptcy is not out of the question, according to him. This, though, is not the first time we have heard him throw around that term. So do you think, though, this could be a real possibility?
I do. Although he's talked about bankruptcy before, both in the context of Tesla and SpaceX. Mm-hmm. But one of the things to keep in mind here is that last year, 89% of Twitter's revenue came from advertising. And multiple advertisers have put pauses on their spending on Twitter because of the sort of new Musk regime. And after the chaos I think we saw yesterday, I think there are probably going to be more advertisers that feel even more leery about spending their money on the website.
Wow, so that could point to future financial problems and the possibility, like we're talking about, a bankruptcy. Let's talk about Twitter Blue. It was called a priority, but the rollout has been rocky, to say the least. Some imposter accounts with these verified check marks were spreading misinformation, even offensive content. A fake Eli Lilly account said that insulin was free, and it forced the drug maker to address the confusion. So what are the early lessons there from Twitter Blue?
Well, this seems like a straightforward user rebellion. One of the things that happens when you run a forum, a place where people hang out online, is that if the users lose faith in leadership, they will troll leadership. And so a bunch of people yesterday were spending $8 in order to specifically troll Elon Musk. You know, it wasn't just the Eli Lilly tweets. There was the fake Nintendo account that showed Mario flipping off the audience. There were fake Tesla tweets. There were fake SpaceX tweets. There were a bunch of fake Elon Musks. I mean, it was very clear that this was a group of people who did not appreciate what he was doing to devalue verified accounts and wanted to demonstrate why that would be a problem.
And they clearly did that. You know a lot about Elon Musk, the businessman. You have sources inside Twitter. But a lot of this is actually, of course, playing out on Twitter. So from your experience, I mean, is there anyone that can tell Elon Musk, no?
I think probably not. You know, all of the people around him are on the payroll, including his family members and his ex-wives. So everybody has a financial interest in keeping Elon Musk happy. And again, if we look back at the texts that came out during the lawsuit, you may remember he was initially going to join the Twitter board. And then Parag Agrawal, the former CEO, very, politely asked him to stop saying rude things about Twitter on Twitter. And 2 minutes later, Musk was like, I'm not going to be on the board anymore. And that was the beginning of all of this. So I really think this is going to be whatever Musk wants it to be all the way to the end.
All right, Elizabeth Lopato, our thanks to you. Also tonight, the flu. It's surging. 22 states plus Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico are now reporting high or very high levels of influenza-like activity. And according to the CDC, doctors are urging everyone over the age of 6 months to get their flu shot. Here's our Ariel Reshef.
Tonight, as a tidal wave of respiratory illnesses sweeps the country, the CDC says the flu now resulting in an estimated 23,000 hospitalizations. That season-to-date total almost doubling 2 weeks in a row. At Children's Hospital of Philadelphia,
we're reaching levels of flu now that are near the peak from the 2019 season, pre-pandemic.
Pennsylvania currently moderate, but 22 states plus D.C. and Puerto Rico now reporting high or very high levels of influenza-like activity. The flu surge occurring as many children's hospitals are already bombarded by record cases of respiratory illnesses like RSV. In Ann Arbor, Michigan, Mott's Children's Hospital says it is 100% full, now urging families to contact their primary care providers to help manage symptoms at home, reserving the ER for true emergencies like labored breathing.
If there is a different cough, if the child is having problems breathing, please bring them to an emergency room. But most RSV symptoms really can be handled in a pediatrician's office.
All right, advice for all those listening and worried parents out there. Our thanks to Ariel. And when we come back, the terrifying moments when a car slammed into a restaurant full of customers. And it's the newest act for a genre that has captivated fans around the world. The stars of K-pop show us how they're bringing the flashy global music phenomenon to Broadway. And the chaos as a once $32 billion fund files for bankruptcy. The major names in sports and entertainment that are now caught up in this crypto crash.
This is ABC News Live.
The crush of families here in Poland.
At refugee centers
in Putin's Russia.
On the ground in Ukraine.
Close to the front line.
Here at the White House.
Destructive Cat 4 storm. Here along I-5. Boston is in the bullseye.
Let's go. We made it.
ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news. Anytime, anywhere. Streaming 24/7 straight to you for free.
Thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
Bring them on. If only there was a place in the morning to start my day. With a smile, somewhere to help me get in the know. A place as spectacular as, well, me.
I think we might know a place, right, guys?
Bring your friends. Oh, wait, there is.
Good morning, America.
GMA, 7A, every day. Boom, boom, boom.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Robin. Good morning, America. How are you?
Boom. Now that's how you start your day, people.
All right, here we go. You ready?
Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you?
Yeah. So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do?
Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 12 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
Elizabeth Holmes found guilty on 4 counts of fraud, facing the possibility of decades in prison. Now, we take you inside the courtroom and behind the scenes. The Dropout, Elizabeth Holmes on Trial. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
So, what's good to read? And we mean really good to read right now. Well, that's where Charlie and Kate Gibson can help.
Join us for the new podcast series. It is called The Bookcase with Kate and Charlie.
We will make sure you love what you read.
Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
With so much happening these days, it's hard to keep up.
Things change hour by hour, minute by minute.
The historic weather that's now unfolding.
The worries on Wall Street.
We're bringing you the Right Now. With a nationwide teacher shortage.
The Right Now look at the day ahead. An alert this morning for dog owners and the key takeaways from the biggest stories.
World News Now and America This Morning, America's #1 early morning news.
Today does feel a little different. Early mornings on ABC News Live.
With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any other newscast. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast across all of television.
As of today, in a big way, we have inaugurated abcnews.com.
A lot has changed in our world since Peter made that announcement. But what hasn't changed is the commitment to groundbreaking reporting and innovation at abcnews.com. And here's to everything ahead.
You see fans lined up outside of Atlanta's State Farm Arena today to pay their final respects to rapper Takeoff. He was part of the rap group Migos. The artist, whose real name was Kershnik Kari Ball, was shot and killed at a Houston bowling alley on November 1st. Cameras were not allowed inside the memorial, but ABC station in Atlanta, WSB, says that singers Justin Bieber and Chloe Bailey performed. Also, rapper Drake read a poem that he wrote about their friendship, and his fellow Migos rappers spoke as well. No arrests have been made since his murder. And now tonight, we talk about the chaos in cryptocurrency. FTX is one of the biggest players in the digital money markets, and it was once valued at $32 billion. Well, now announcing it has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Major names in sports and entertainment, including Tom Brady, had signed endorsement deals or their shareholders. ABC's Rebecca Jarvis has more.
Shockwaves across the world of cryptocurrency as federal regulators reportedly investigate the sudden collapse of FTX, a top crypto exchange. Among its shareholders, celebs like star quarterback Tom Brady and ex-wife supermodel Gisele Bündchen.
What do you think? Are you in?
You know what? I'm in.
The company striking endorsement deals with the likes of Steph Curry, Naomi Osaka, and Shaquille O'Neal, and boasting partnerships across the sports world, buying the name rights to the home of the Miami Heat, now FTX Arena, the platform where users buy and sell digital currencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, valued at $32 billion earlier this year.
FTX was an exchange that had a bright sheen on it. It was led by a CEO that was often on Capitol Hill and being photographed with regulators and lawmakers. And so there was this sense that the exchange was very buttoned up.
That CEO, 30-year-old Sam Bankman-Fried, celebrated as a poster child for transparency in cryptocurrency.
One of the really innovative properties of cryptocurrency markets are 24/7 risk monitoring engines.
But in the last week, it all came crashing down after a report of financial instability sent customers attempting to withdraw billions, money FTX didn't have available, leading the platform to temporarily halt withdrawals. Crypto competitor Binance offering FTX a bailout, but then backing out. And now FTX's collapse under investigation by the Department of Justice and the SEC, according to the Wall Street Journal. The Journal reporting the CEO allegedly using customer money from FTX to fund risky bets at his other company, a hedge fund called Alameda. FTX didn't comment for the report and did not respond to ABC's attempt for comment.
Many people believe that this will definitely set back the crypto industry for years with the implosion of FTX.
Bankman-Fried, who goes by SBF, apologizing on Twitter for the situation, saying he should have done better. The big question now, what happens to FTX customers and their money? The exchange reportedly reopening withdrawals for some on Thursday, while others are still unable to access their money.
If you want to own some crypto, you need to be aware that this kind of money just does not act like US dollars in your bank account. When you lose crypto, you cannot call anybody to say, send the money back.
Mike Novogratz, who could lose his entire multi-million-dollar investment in FTX, spoke out to CNBC.
You know, this is a tale as old as time to some degree. Some young, charismatic guy in Bermuda shorts with the floppy hair charmed the 20 best investors in the world.
Wow. And that was Rebecca Jarvis reporting for us tonight. Now still ahead here on Prime. The ruling leading the Biden administration to stop accepting applications for its student debt relief program after 26 million people already applied. And students described the scary moments that they were held at gunpoint and robbed inside their own home. Also this Veterans Day, we're looking at those who have served our country, what the data is revealing about how the military's demographics have changed. That's by the numbers. But first, our tweet of the day, President Biden saluting our veterans.
With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any other newscast. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast across all of television.
It's lunchtime in America. So, what are we serving up?
Well, how about everything you need to know?
You got me feeling like your health, your money,
Breaking news, exclusives,
pop culture, and with the biggest stars,
music, trends, style,
and some laughs, and some good food. You got me feeling like...
You know, that sounds pretty good.
GMA 3, what you need to know. A third hour of GMA in the afternoon. So join us, afternoons, for everything you need to know.
With so much at stake in our world right now, we wanted to thank you for your trust and for making ABC News America's #1 news.
And thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you?
How cute.
Yes.
So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do?
Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 12 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
Zoo.
200.
Oh, 200.
200 episodes of Dr. Pol. Music to my ears.
It's been 10 years, and I'm still having fun.
That rocks. He's got the moves that make your animals groove.
Now we do the dance of joy.
He's like the Justin Bieber of the
Headlining the hottest barns.
Cut out.
It's a show you won't want to miss.
I'm not going to be here forever. Maybe.
The Incredible Dr. Pol. New episodes Saturdays at 9 on Nat Geo Wild.
This is ABC News Live Prime.
Thanks so much for streaming with us.
Live reporting, breaking news, exclusives, award-winning, powerful, eye-opening. ABC News Live Prime with Lindsay Davis, streaming weeknights. So, what's good to read? And we mean really good to read right now. Well, that's where Charlie and Kate Gibson can help.
Join us for the new podcast series. It is called The Bookcase with Kate and Charlie.
We will make sure you love what you read.
Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
And welcome back. This Veterans Day, we're taking a look at the changing demographics of those who have sacrificed for their country. That's by the numbers tonight. There are about 19 million living veterans in the U.S. That's the largest share. Nearly 8 million who served between 1990 and the present, considered the Gulf War era. Currently, 89% of veterans are men, but that is changing. By 2046, women are expected to make up about 18% of those who have served. Veterans are also becoming more racially and ethnically diverse. Hispanic Hispanics are expected to double from the current 8% to 16% by 2046, and Black veterans are projected to increase slightly to 15% in that same period. And around 240,000 World War II veterans are still with us, but our veterans are getting younger. 27% of veterans are under 50 today, and that's also expected to increase to 33% again by 2046. And veterans are less than 10% of the total U.S. adult population, and the share of the population with military experience is projected to continue to decline. We can expect a 35% drop to 12.5 million living veterans again by 2046. And of course, our gratitude tonight to all who have chosen to serve in the armed forces in the past and the 1.3 million active duty serving now. Now, we still have a lot more to get to here tonight. Just ahead, it hit theaters. Black Panther is already set to make records. How it could set the tone for the rest of the holiday movie season. Also, rethinking Christmas traditions. Meet the Santas bringing a new perspective to jolly old St. Nick. But first, look at our top trending stories on abcnews.com.
So much happening these days, it's hard to keep up.
Things change hour by hour, minute by minute.
The historic weather that's now unfolding.
The worries on Wall Street.
We're bringing you the Right Now. But a nationwide teacher shortage.
The Right Now look at the day ahead. An alert this morning for dog owners and the key takeaways from the biggest stories.
World News Now and America This Morning, America's #1 early morning news.
Today does feel a little different. Early mornings on ABC News Live.
It's lunchtime in America. So, what are we serving up?
Well, how about everything you need to know?
You got me feeling like your health, your money,
Breaking news, exclusives,
pop culture, and with the biggest stars,
music, trends, style,
and some laughs, and some good food. You got me feeling like...
You know, that sounds pretty good.
GMA 3, what you need to know. A third hour of GMA in the afternoon. So join us, afternoons, for everything you need to know.
With so much happening these days, it's hard to keep up.
Things change hour by hour, minute by minute.
The historic weather that's now unfolding.
The worries on Wall Street.
We're bringing you the Right Now. But a nationwide teacher shortage.
The Right Now look at the day ahead. An alert this morning for dog owners and the key takeaways from the biggest stories.
World News Now and America This Morning, America's #1 early morning news.
Today does feel a little different. Early mornings on ABC News Live.
Elizabeth Holmes found guilty on 4 counts of fraud, facing the possibility of decades in prison. Now, we take you inside the courtroom and behind the scenes. The Dropout, Elizabeth Holmes on Trial. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Now streaming on ABC News Live 2020. True crime, cinematic, real-life drama, stunning, the unthinkable. Follow the clues, The Hunt, True Crime 2020. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you? Yes.
So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do?
Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 12 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
The counting continues in Arizona, where hundreds of thousands of ballots are left to go, and officials say despite the conspiracies on social media, there is no evidence of suspicious activity or any incompetence, and that the process just takes time. Candidates in Arizona's tight Senate race reassuring supporters.
It doesn't look like we're going to have the final results for a little while.
Republican challenger Blake Masters tweeting that with the remaining ballots outstanding, we're confident we will win. In Nevada, Senator Catherine Cortez Masto still hopeful as ballot processing continues. Her opponent Adam Laxalt also upbeat. Meanwhile, the attention is moving to 2024, where former President Trump is teasing a third bid for the White House, with an announcement coming as early as next week.
A top border official is reportedly refusing to step down despite calls from the Department of Homeland Security to do so. The Washington Post reports that Customs and Border Protection Commissioner Chris Magnus was asked by Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas to resign the day after the midterm elections, but has said that he has no plans to do so. Magnus was confirmed less than a year ago as CBP commissioner. The showdown comes amid a major surge of migrants and a record number of arrests at the southern border, putting President Biden, Mayorkas, and Magnus under fire by Republicans.
A federal judge in Texas struck down President Biden's student loan debt relief program, saying the president overstepped his authority. The White House already has appealed.
The conservative Job Creators Network Foundation sued to block the administration's program, and U.S. District Judge Mark Pittman ruled in the group's favor. President Joe Biden suggests that opposition to his loan forgiveness plan is political. A judge in St. Louis, meanwhile, is considering a separate lawsuit filed by 6 Republican-led states against Biden's loan forgiveness program.
Police in Philadelphia are investigating an armed robbery that targeted a group of Temple University students living off campus. 2 masked men, one with a gun, entered the apartment early Friday morning with 11 students inside at the time.
We were just all woken up. There was a guy with a gun and he came into a couple of our rooms and then he made one of us go and wake up the rest of the roommates with the guy with the gun.
The suspects forced the victims to hand over their phones, debit cards, and keys and locked them all in the basement. The students were unharmed but left shaken by the experience.
Surveillance video shows the moment the vehicle crashes through a restaurant in Westchester County, New York.
The restaurant was filled with customers at the time when the crash happened. Surveillance video from the restaurant shows an employee sitting in a chair when a Jeep comes crashing through. Staff members say the driver of the Jeep hit the gas to go forward instead of reverse to get out of the parking lot. The employee, fortunately, was not hurt.
Watermelon smashing comedian Gallagher has died. According to his publicist, the comedian passed away after a short health battle in Palm Springs.
Gallagher, whose full name was Leo Anthony Gallagher, rose to fame in the 1980s, pulverizing items on stage. Fans in front row seats were known to wear rain gear to his shows. Gallagher was 76 years old.
And now to the genre that has sold millions of albums and launched some of the biggest music acts of all time. Now, K-pop is bringing its signature dance moves and catchy choruses to the Broadway stage, along with some real-life K-pop idols. We sat down with the cast of K-pop the Musical to lift the curtain on how they're bringing the global phenomenon to New York City. Here's our Juju Chang.
It's the musical genre millions of screaming fans can't get enough of. Whether it's boy band juggernaut BTS or girl group Blackpink, K-pop sweeping the globe. The South Korean musical phenomena hoping to find a new home here on Broadway. Aptly titled K-pop, the new musical features a mix of actual K-pop stars, Broadway alums, and performers who are both Korean and Asian American.
What is this like to have a essentially all Asian cast and Asian creatives behind the scene as well?
Absolutely. I was taken aback because I've never experienced that before.
It felt like all of us could just take a breath and be like, oh my gosh, I've never been able to speak Korean in a room. And here we kind of just get to be together and celebrate.
I sat down with 3 of the cast stars who all grew up in the U.S. Real-life K-pop idol Kevin Wu, formerly of the boy band U-Kiss. Amy Coombe, one of 18 making their Broadway debut, and Zachary Noah Pizer, who I just met a few months ago.
Here we go.
When he became the first Asian American to star in the Broadway smash hit Dear Evan Hansen.
I was like, me? K-pop? Are you sure? But I think I've learned to just grow to love it, and especially learning from, especially from the actual K-pop idols that are in our show. It's been such a cool experience.
And I'm glad I get to get a little glimpse of what it's like to be on Broadway, but also be in my own element on the stage every night.
The show revolves around artists. On the fictional label Ruby Entertainment, we follow boy band Fate,
'Cause I'm good at being a bad, bad boy.
girl band Artemis, and the superstar Mui. Her real-life pop star name, Luna. Here at the Circle in the Square Theater, ready for their New York debut.
K-pop fans right now see the glitz and glam, but I really love how our show portrays like this deeper story.
The show pulling back the curtain on the often treacherous road to becoming a K-pop idol. Far from glamorous, it delves into just how grueling the real-life process is.
Let's hold right there, let's hold right there.
And the sacrifices needed.
Let's try this one more time.
It's not only just like a K-pop concert, it really dives deep into the work ethic that Koreans put into their craft.
I got to interview BTS when they were here at the UN with the president.
Wow.
And they talk about the loneliness of being in a bubble while the rest of the world is focused on them.
There's really no other career like this. We're brought up into this world at such a young age, and it's all that we've ever known.
That journey told through catchy K-pop melodies. Helen Park, who studied at NYU, now the first Asian American female composer on Broadway, harnesses that signature blend of both Korean and English lyrics.
Were you ever afraid that maybe you might lose an audience member or two?
A lot of authentic K-pop songs obviously have both Korean and English, and a lot of the times the lyrics act as, even like sound effects. I knew that there's gonna be preconceptions. I mean, I went through that all my life.
The bilingual songs on full display, with the cast performing live for GMA. There's no misinterpreting the message of pride, as evident as their precision dance moves.
You also had to fuse, the long tradition of Broadway dance versus K-pop dance. How did you marry those two?
There's a couple things that are very specific. One is the idea of the point dance, which is a choreography that usually happens on the chorus that sort of kind of connects with the music, so that the way you hear the song and the way you see the choreography kind of like merge together.
Are you ready though?
Okay, ready?
So ready?
Then it was my turn.
This is my Korea.
All right, one more time.
This is my Korea.
Of course, it's not K-pop without many costume changes.
Welcome to our wardrobe area.
125 looks, to be precise.
So this is our opening look for This Is My Korea. This is probably my favorite look. So this is our finale look. I would like to take this one.
And here's where it all comes together.
They were telling me about the devices that allow the lights to follow them.
Track, yeah.
I've never heard of that before.
A special lighting technique tracks and lights up their movements in what feels like both an intimate space and a stadium show.
This is immersive.
It's very, very intimate, and the front row seats are literally in front of our noses.
The perfect setting for frank conversations.
Specifically, my character, Brad, gets to kind of reflect a little bit of who I am because he is half Asian and he is half white. So we get that kind of cultural divide between the group, like between specifically the boy group and with Brad, and kind of learning from this cast, like how to speak Korean, how to like get into this K-pop world is it's like a meta experience because both Zach is learning that and also Brad is learning that in the show and gets to kind of talk about that experience.
There's this idea of you're not Asian enough.
Oh boy. We get to, through Brad, see a little bit of the Hapa or the mixed race experience that I've really never seen before on Broadway. That really unique feeling of belonging to multiple identities, but never quite feeling like you fit in with either of those intersecting communities.
What have the previews been like? Because I'm sure the fans are going bananas.
I'm just so astonished every night to see how diverse our audience is. You've got your theater fans, and then you got K-pop fans, which is really new to the Broadway stage because there's a lot of K-pop fans who have never seen a Broadway musical. And they come into our show and thinking it's like a concert, but then they're just like, oh my God, I'm crying. And like, they're just in this journey with us.
So could we see Artemis and Fate albums down the road?
I mean, we already have Faye and Artemis and Mui fan clubs.
Yes.
It's just crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I really want us to debut as an actual K-pop group.
Life imitating art.
Truly.
All right, our thanks to Juju for that, and I also really appreciated her dancing, by the way. And now to all the excitement that is surrounding the highly anticipated release of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Fans around the globe are finally seeing the superhero movie on the silver screen, and overnight, Rihanna stunning fans again with another Wakanda Forever song, Born Again. ABC's Chris Connolly has more on this marvelous start to the holiday blockbuster season.
Show them who we are.
With a lot on its mind and so much in its heart, Marvel's sequel Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. A movie season that's relying on its mix of action and deep as the ocean emotion.
Now is our time to strike.
Black Panther had a pre-pandemic $202 million opening weekend in 2018, en route to becoming the 6th top-grossing domestic film ever. Wakanda Forever is playing in close to 4,400 movie theaters in the U.S. this weekend.
This is definitely going to be one of the larger Marvel Studios openings that we've seen, especially for a solo character, and fans are excited.
Overnight, fans lined up outside the theater, eagerly awaiting Wakanda Forever.
Amazing. It was one of the best movies I've seen. I cried at the very beginning, cried at the very end.
Full-throttle fight sequences with that customary Marvel magic. On the heels of Lift Me Up, that powerful ballad for the film's soundtrack.
Lift me up.
Rihanna releasing Born Again overnight, her second song from the movie.
I'd die and come back just to love you.
Angela Bassett's work spurring talk of an Oscar nomination, along with Letitia Wright, Denai Guira, and Lupita Nyong'o, a mighty matriarchy.
I think it really showed a lot of women empowerment, and that's what I feel like should be shown more in the MCU.
On-screen characters feeling the loss of King T'Challa, just as these actors and millions worldwide mourn the passing of the great Chadwick Boseman.
Everyone's wearing all white, you know, a symbol of light, purity, his ascension to the ancestral plane. I decided I was going to do the same thing, so honor Chadwick's memory.
I think people are sort of want to come back to have that shared experience in the theater, and this is that kind of film.
Hollywood hoping its underwhelming box office autumn ends here, with Wakanda Forever looked at to pave the way and lure viewers for more see-it-in-theaters cinema, from James Cameron's Avatar: The Way of Water
outstanding
to the Knives Out follow-up whodunit Glass Onion.
This is truly delightful.
And the Whitney Houston biopic I Want to Dance with Somebody. For now, it's all about Wakanda Forever getting it started.
And our thanks to Chris Connolly for that. Can you believe Christmas is just a few weeks away, and many of us who celebrate are getting ready to take part in traditions that we hold dear that often includes a trip to see Santa. And you might not be aware of the commitments that these Santas make to bring a sparkle to your child's eye. And now, more than ever, efforts are underway to bring diversity to jolly old St. Nick. There's a new HBO Max documentary. It's called Santa Camp, and it features the New England Santa Society as they attempt to remedy a complicated and historic problem with diversity. They train a black Santa named Chris alongside a Santa with a disability and a transgender Santa. Let's take a look.
The New England Santa Society created a school called Santa Camp. The issue we run into is that people just have a very specific idea of what Santa should look like. So, we have a lot of new Santas.
I want to be able to be Black Santa for other families. I'm going to be going up to New Hampshire to learn all the ins and outs of being Santa. Oh, it's definitely going to be a strange experience.
Well, you just saw Chris there, and he went to Santa Camp, and he's joining us right now. Chris, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Now, listen, before we talk about Santa Camp, we do have to go back to 2020. This is the year that you put up a large black Santa right on your front lawn. And
yes.
You got an angry letter from a neighbor, which you shared on Facebook. It went viral. After experiencing all that, did it make you want to be a Santa even more?
It absolutely did. Just because I wanted other kids to be able to see themselves represented. My daughter, most notably, I did it all for her, and I do this for her.
So
Yes.
give us some examples of the things that you learned at Santa Camp. And then are there some things that you bring to the role that other Santas don't?
Absolutely. So I learned a bit of character development, how to truly become Santa for myself. Things that I bring to the character, you know, I get to interject my culture into the character of Santa.
Now, the camp's founder seemed to genuinely want to make the industry more inclusive, but you have sort of described some awkwardness along the way. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, you know, there's always going to be a little bit of pushback, and I say always. When you start interjecting race or sex or anything, if it's not what the norm is in someone's head, there's always going to be pushback. And Santa can look like just about anybody if they want to.
And it looks like that's what they're trying to prove there, clearly. Also, you know, security has become a bit of an issue. You actually have gone so far as to ask us not to use your last name in this interview. So we want to play a short clip also and show people what happened to Santa Levi. Santa Levi is trans, and he returned home from Santa Camp and appeared at a church event for LGBTQ youth. So take a look.
We are protesting the indoctrination of children.
We're elves. Yeah, we're Proud Boy elves. This church is infected with evil. They're destroying Santa Claus.
And really, the Bible that I read says that this is a sin.
Santa's not in the Bible.
No.
Chris, I mean, you talk about your fears for your safety as well. Is it things like this that make you perhaps consider not being a Santa, not doing it?
I take my safety serious enough that, you know, we protect ourselves at home. We have some extremism that's very, very close to home, and it's depicted in the movie. So, you know, it's there for people to see. But, yeah, the fact that they call themselves Proud Boy elves and then talk about the Bible that they read, so hilarious because Santa Claus isn't in the Bible.
Really positive things, though, that we see in the film as well. At the end of the film, we watch you as Black Santa at a festival near your home. It's very heartwarming. What is it like for you to watch that playback?
It's great because it is 100% full circle. That is our Northern Lights Festival in North Little Rock. It's literally me becoming Santa for our entire city. And the joy that you see on these kids' faces, the joy that you see on their parents' faces is absolutely amazing. Clearly there's a need and a want out there, and I'm fulfilling it for people and making folks happy.
And can you share with us one special Christmas tradition that you have?
Our special Christmas tradition as a family is our pajamas. We all get matching pajamas. And it's been great with the push for diversity. Different companies are starting to actually carry Black Santa as an option for Christmas pajamas.
Oh, that's so fun. Chris, I'm so glad to have had the time to talk with you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And Santa Camp is streaming exclusively on HBO Max on November 17th. And before we go tonight, we do have the image of the day to share with you. These people are tearing down a sign in Kherson, Ukraine that reads, "Russia is here forever." The Russian troops retreated this week, and Ukrainians cheered as they could finally reclaim their city. And that's our show for this hour. Stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. I'm Kana Whitworth. Thank you for streaming with us. Coming up in the next hour, we're staying on top of a few things here. The tough words President Biden had for Russia and his promises for the future as he spoke in front of a group of global leaders. Also, why a former Playboy model is now facing up to 25 years in prison.
With so much at stake in our world right now, we wanted to thank you for your trust and for making ABC News America's #1 news.
And thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
After
after an extraordinary news-making year. Thank you for making ABC's This Week America's #1 news and politics show on Sunday mornings.
You never know what you're going to get on this show. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Yes, Whoopi!
This mic on? Can you hear me out there?
Behind the scenes is always a better show.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's what people don't see during the commercial break.
Right, they don't.
What happened?
I had no idea really what I was getting myself into.
That day that we walked out, I treasure that day.
I couldn't sit there.
You're doing good, Joy. You're doing good.
Oh, yeah, baby.
It was crazy.
Behind the Table. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
From the giant sequoias to the waterfalls, it's an amazing place. But in Yosemite, criminals go on vacation too. A park ranger found partial human remains.
That was a human hand.
That opened the possibility of suspects.
Henry Lee Lucas.
Carrie Stainer.
Donald Gibson.
Any of them could have done it.
We're gonna figure this thing out.
Wild Crime, Season 2, Murder in Yosemite. Now streaming only on Hulu.
It's lunchtime in America. So, what are we serving up?
Well, how about everything you need to know?
You got me feeling like
Your health, your money,
Breaking news, exclusives,
pop culture, and with the biggest stars.
music, trends, style.
And some laughs. And some good food.
You got me feeling like
You know, that sounds pretty good.
GMA 3, what you need to know. A third hour of GMA in the afternoon.
So join us, afternoons, for everything you need to know.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Kana Whitworth, and thank you so much for streaming with us. We are monitoring several developments here at ABC News at this hour, starting with flu season continues to hit earlier and harder than usual this year for a second week in a row. Illnesses, hospitalizations, and deaths have all nearly doubled. The CDC estimates that there have been at least 2.8 million cases so far and 1,300 flu-related deaths. Public health officials are reminding people to protect themselves and loved ones by getting vaccinated. Adult vaccinations are significantly lower this year compared to last. Also, a noose was found at the construction site of the Obama Presidential Center in Chicago. Police are investigating the company overseeing the project, and they're also offering a $100,000 reward for any information leading to the culprit. And a former Playboy model accused of murdering a 71-year-old psychiatrist has pled guilty as part of a plea deal. Police say the psychiatrist had been paying 29-year-old Kelsey Turner's rent. He went to tell her he was no longer going to support her and was later found bludgeoned to death in the trunk of Turner's Mercedes. She faces 10 to 25 years in prison. Two accused accomplices have also taken plea deals. And of course, control of Congress. It's still undecided tonight as ballot counting continues in Arizona and Nevada, where Senate races remain too close to call. ABC News Live anchor Terry Moran is in Phoenix tonight with what election officials are saying about when we can actually expect these results.
Tonight, with votes still being counted in Arizona, some voters here are angry and suspicious that the results aren't in.
I don't know why every other state, except a handful, can count everything by now, except Arizona.
Thank you, Arizona.
Carrie Lake, the Republican candidate for governor and an election denier, is now spreading vague conspiracy theories, accusing election officials of trying to slow roll the vote counting, but offering no proof. Overnight, those officials fought back.
Quite frankly, it is offensive for Carrie Lake to say that these people behind me are slow rolling this when they're working 14 to 18 hours.
Overnight, a drop of just over 78,000 new votes from Maricopa County pushed Democrats statewide ahead.
I'll tell you what, folks, I am feeling confident tonight.
Democratic incumbent Senator Mark Kelly has expanded his lead over challenger Blake Masters. The race for governor's tighter, but Lake is confident she'll beat Democrat Katie Hobbs.
100% we're going to win this, and I think the whole ticket's going to win. I think Blake may even win.
Meanwhile, in neighboring Nevada, Republican challenger Adam Laxalt has a slight but shrinking lead over incumbent Senator Catherine Cortez Masto. Still tens of thousands of votes left to count.
We're doing everything in our power to move ballots forward just as quickly as we can. I can't finish all the mail until it all comes in.
All right, and our thanks to Terry Moran for that. Also, we want you to know that Coming up Sunday on ABC News, George Stephanopoulos has an exclusive one-on-one interview with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi just weeks after the brutal attack on her husband. That's ahead on This Week. Next tonight, to the remnants of Hurricane Nicole racing up the East Coast after slamming Florida's Atlantic coast. Dozens of homes and hotels damaged and destroyed in Volusia County. That's the Daytona Beach area. Heavy wind also reached South Carolina, along with rain, as you see there. Then a tornado watch for much of the day in Dinwiddie, Virginia. So Rob Marciano will have the forecast in just a minute. But first, Stephanie Ramos has more on Nicole's path of destruction.
Tonight, remnants of Hurricane Nicole now moving up the East Coast. Tornado sirens sounding in downtown Richmond.
Oh boy, look right here at the lightning strikes. Those lightning strikes really cycling up.
Heavy rain inundating drivers in Boone, North Carolina. Hurricane Nicole made landfall early Thursday south of Daytona Beach as a rare November Category 1 storm. And it absolutely eviscerated Florida's coastline. Dozens of homes and hotels crumbling to pieces down below or left teetering and uninhabitable. ABC's Victor Oquendo in Daytona Beach shores.
Residents tell me they have never seen anything like this. Authorities have declared 49 buildings unsafe, calling the structural damage unprecedented, and there is still danger. Officials warning if you go anywhere near the beach, you are putting your life in jeopardy.
Climate scientists say rising seas are making coastal floods flow deeper inland, making once-in-a-century incidents like this much more frequent.
And our thanks to Stephanie Ramos tonight. And now to ABC's senior meteorologist, Rob Marciano. Rob, messy conditions. They're already hitting the East Coast. Can you time out the remnants of Nicole for us?
Well, the good news, Kana, is that what's left of Nicole has really picked up some steam. Was in Georgia this morning. The center is now in West Virginia, moving northeast at about 47 miles per hour. So we'll try to get out of here quickly, but it'll still take some time. Here it is on the radar scope. It's kind of combining with a cold front that's merging with it, and that's helping squeeze some of this moisture out. You see the rain shield all the way through New York and New England, and then a bit of a break, and then the main part of this system will push through later on tonight and tomorrow. Here's how it looks on our computer models. Some heavy rain moving through western parts of Pennsylvania and New York and upstate New York. So we could see some more isolated flooding. And then behind this thing, once it does clear out, not till really late tomorrow, we look for colder air, much colder air to roll in behind this. And wind chills tomorrow morning in places like Pierce, South Dakota, it's going to feel like 2. -3 in Fargo. That is certainly more like winter than even November, but it's felt more like September here the past couple of days. It looks like nearly all of the lower 48, Kana, by Sunday will have below average temperatures. So get that winter coat ready. Kana?
Okay, bundling up, Rob. Thank you. And tonight, the first week of the UN Global Climate Summit in Egypt is coming to a close, and President Biden spoke today at the summit, blasted Russia for using its oil to hold the global economy hostage as it wages war in Ukraine. But the bulk of his speech was aimed at recommitting the U.S. to be a leader in addressing climate change. But critics still point out the U.S. is still the world's largest emitter of greenhouse gases.
The science is devastatingly clear. We have to make vital progress by the end of this decade. And that's why the United States is rallying the world around climate game changers.
Well, ABC's Marcus Moore there at the summit in Egypt joining us now. Marcus, what more did the president promise? And, I mean, can he deliver?
Well, Kana, President Biden is pledging $11 billion a year for international projects to address climate change. That includes $150 million to help Africa. And that's on top of the billions of dollars in spending domestically to try to transition to clean energy. All of that part of the Inflation Reduction Act. The president really trying to make the point that the U.S. is doing its part and that other countries around the world should do theirs to address this crisis. And as for that $11 billion a year, Kana, that will require approval from Congress.
All right, Marcus. Well, listen, there are a lot of U.S. officials there trying to lead the fight against climate change. What else are you learning about what exactly they're doing?
Yeah, Ken, it's almost overwhelming, the number of people who are here, many of them lawmakers and top government officials. We actually met with the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture, and today he announced it in a joint initiative with the UAE and several other nations, saying that they are doubling their investments around the world to $8 billion in the field of climate smart agriculture. So basically focusing on small and mid-sized ranchers and farmers and helping them innovate. And I want to show you or let you listen to a bit of what he said today.
The idea here is to basically learn how best to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, how to do a better job of making agriculture more productive and more profitable and more sustainable, and then basically transferring that information and knowledge to small countries and to smallholders.
And the belief is that the investments that they announced today and the increased investments, that will have a huge impact in the fight against climate change. And Kana, it does give you a sense of how complex all of this is, but that every little bit can have a huge impact.
Yeah, you know, Marcus, I've spent a lot of time speaking with ranchers and farmers out here in the U.S. about little things they're doing to make a big change, and hopefully it ends somewhere good. Marcus, thank you so much. Now to Ukraine, a celebration in the streets as Ukrainian soldiers retook the strategic city of Kherson. But in other parts of the country, Russia's deadly assault on civilians continues. ABC's James Longman has more.
Tonight, relief and jubilation on the streets of Kherson. 30,000 Russian troops now completing their stunning retreat from the city. They've been chased out by Ukrainian forces who are now back in control of a huge swathe of this region after more than 8 long months of brutal Russian occupation. President Zelensky proclaiming it a historic day. Ukrainian success on the battlefield, but Russia still makes civilians pay a heavy cost. An early morning missile strike leveled this apartment building in nearby Mykolaiv. At the police cordon, Alexander comes asking for news.
Who are you trying to get through to, sir?
I'm looking for my daughter, he says. After an anxious wait, emergency workers signal they've found something.
It's the news he was dreading. It's his daughter. He's been told.
Natalia is among 7 killed here.
Just to say thank you for speaking to us. I know, there's nothing I can say. There's nothing I can say.
This is the result, he says. I wish I could catch that Putin. Before we leave, he shows us her passport.
And that's today's date. It was her birthday today. She was 34 years old.
It's devastating. Our James Longman, we thank you for all the reporting you're doing there. We want to turn now to Twitter. The new owner, Elon Musk, is facing yet a new controversy each day, or really seems like multiple controversies every single day. Tonight, that includes an audio recording that provides a snapshot into what he's telling his employees. So here's ABC's chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman.
Tonight, amid Twitter's public meltdown, ABC News obtaining exclusive audio of new owner Elon Musk's all-hands meeting, warning of possible bankruptcy.
I think we just definitely need to bring in more cash than we spend, or if we don't do that and there's a massive negative cash flow, then bankruptcy is not out of the question.
The forum open to questions, many focusing on Musk's laying off of half of Twitter's 7,500-person workforce.
Why is our leadership trying to increase attrition rate if we're already understaffed and barely able to keep things running?
I think we are overstaffed. That is my opinion.
And warning those working from home.
If people do not return to the office when they are able to return to the office, they cannot remain at the company.
As some employees rebel and former employees join a suit, the site itself in chaos, with the company forced to amend its proposal for paid verified accounts after impersonations of major brands like Chiquita, Pepsi, even Tesla soared.
On a scale of 1 to 10, the meltdown at Twitter is about 11.
And thank you, Matt Gutman. We now want to welcome in Elizabeth Lopato, a senior reporter at Verge who produces a newsletter about Elon Musk and follows every bit of information about Twitter. So, Elizabeth, we are just now over 2 weeks into Elon Musk's ownership here. There have been layoffs, resignation, financial losses, product changes. I know you have one word to describe what's happening there at Twitter. What is it?
Chaos. We are experiencing chaos.
No kidding. Oh, a major headline that we see, and I mean, it happened yesterday, the ultimatum that Elon Musk gave to employees about returning to the office. ABC News obtained the audio, so let's listen to what he told everybody.
Let me be crystal clear. If people do not return to the office when they are able to return to the office, they cannot remain at the company. End of story.
All right, so in your opinion, is that just sort of classic Musk?
Yeah, he's pretty ruthless. One of the things that we saw in the texts that came out of the lawsuit when he was trying to back out of the Twitter deal was that he and Jason Calacanis were talking about return to office that might potentially lead to 20% of the employees engaging in voluntary departures. And of course, what that means is that you don't have to pay severance.
Wow. Well, he also got a lot of attention with what he said about the financial state of the company, though. I mean, talking about paying severance here. Bankruptcy is not out of the question, according to him. This, though, is not the first time we have heard him throw around that term. So do you think, though, this could be a real possibility?
I do. Although he's talked about bankruptcy before, both in the context of Tesla and SpaceX. But one of the things to keep in mind here is that last year, 89% of Twitter's revenue came from advertising. And multiple advertisers have put pauses on their spending on Twitter because of the sort of new Musk regime. And after the chaos I think we saw yesterday, I think there are probably going to be more advertisers that feel even more leery about spending their money on the website.
Wow, so that could point to future financial problems and the possibility, like we're talking about, a bankruptcy. Let's talk about Twitter Blue. It was called a priority, but the rollout has been rocky, to say the least. Some imposter accounts with these verified check marks were spreading misinformation, even offensive content. Fake Eli Lilly account said that insulin was free, and it forced the drug maker to address the confusion. So what are the early lessons there from Twitter Blue?
Well, this seems like a straightforward user rebellion. One of the things that happens when you run a forum, a place where people hang out online, is that if the users lose faith in leadership, they will troll leadership. And so a bunch of people yesterday were spending $8 in order to specifically troll Elon Musk. You know, it wasn't just the Eli Lilly tweets. There was the fake Nintendo account that showed Mario flipping off the audience. There were fake Tesla tweets. There were fake SpaceX tweets. There were a bunch of fake Elon Musks. I mean, it was very clear that this was a group of people who did not appreciate what he was doing to devalue verified accounts and wanted to demonstrate why that would be a problem.
And they clearly did that. You know a lot about Elon Musk, the businessman. You have sources inside Twitter. But a lot of this is actually, of course, playing out on Twitter. So from your experience, I mean, is there anyone that can tell Elon Musk, no?
I think probably not. You know, all of the people around him are on the payroll, including his family members and his ex-wives. So everybody has a financial interest in keeping Elon Musk happy. And again, if we look back at the texts that came out during the lawsuit, you may remember he was initially going to join the Twitter board. And then Parag Agrawal, the former CEO, very, politely asked him to stop saying rude things about Twitter on Twitter. And 2 minutes later, Musk was like, I'm not going to be on the board anymore. And that was the beginning of all of this. So I really think this is going to be whatever Musk wants it to be all the way to the end.
All right, Elizabeth Lopato, our thanks to you. And still to come here tonight, why Independence Day celebrations in one country led to dueling marches and flares being fired into the air. Also, more than 1 million black soldiers served in World War II. Author Matthew F. Delmont tells us about the struggle to fight abroad, while those soldiers were also wagering battles for freedom at home.
This is ABC News Live. The crush of families here in Poland.
At refugee centers.
In Putin's Russia.
On the ground in Ukraine.
Close to the front line.
Here at the White House.
Destructive
Cat 4 storm.
Here along I-5. Boston is in the bullseye.
Let's go. We made it.
ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news. Anytime, anywhere. Streaming 24/7 straight to you for free.
Thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
Bring them on.
If only there was a place in the morning to start my day. With a smile, somewhere to help me get in the know. A place as spectacular as, well, me.
I think we might know a place, right, guys?
Bring your friends.
Oh, wait, there is.
Good morning, America.
GMA, 7A, every day. Boom, boom, boom. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Robin. Good morning, America. How are you?
Boom. Now that's how you start your day, people.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you? Yes.
So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do?
Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 12 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
As of today, in a big way, we have inaugurated abcnews.com.
A lot has changed in our world since Peter made that announcement. But what hasn't changed is the commitment to groundbreaking reporting and innovation at abcnews.com. And here's to everything ahead.
Now streaming on ABC News Live 2020. True crime, cinematic, real-life drama, stunning, the unthinkable. Follow the clues, The Hunt. True crime 2020. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
And welcome back. We're tracking several headlines from around the world tonight. Dueling marches in Poland today marked the country's independence. Thousands of people joined a far-right march, many of them waving Polish flags. But other demonstrators were seen firing off flares and carrying white supremacist and anti-gay rights banners. The annual march by the far right has become a source of friction in Poland. This year, a smaller left-wing group countered the march, waving LGBTQ flags and signs condemning racism. Also, a tsunami alert issued in Tonga today after a 7.3 magnitude earthquake struck just off the coast of the tiny island nation. The relatively shallow earthquake was felt all across the island, but you have to remember here, it was just last January, an undersea volcanic eruption triggered a tsunami there that killed 3 people. Also, World Cup fever is starting to take off in Qatar. Fans from India, Brazil, Argentina, France all donned their team's colors and took to the streets to show their support. Competition kicks off next weekend. And on this Veterans Day, we are remembering the people who fought for our country. More than 1 million black soldiers served in World War II, and their contributions were vital to our victory. Matthew F. Delmont is a history professor at Dartmouth College and a Guggenheim Fellow and expert of African-American history who dives into the history of World War II from the black perspective. Delmont's new book, Half American, the epic story of African Americans fighting World War II at home and abroad, details what it meant to be a black soldier during the war and how their patriotism abroad never wavered in the face of racism in a segregated America. So joining us now is the author himself. Matthew, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's talk about the title of this book first, Half American. You included a quote from a letter to a black newspaper. It was written by a man named James G. Thompson, and he wrote, "Should I sacrifice my life to live half American? Is the America I know worth defending?" Did his words resonate with you and really serve, as inspiration for the title of the book?
So that letter from James Thompson, he was a 26-year-old from Wichita, Kansas. He writes that letter to the Pittsburgh Courier, which at the time is the largest and most influential black newspaper in the country. He's writing in December of 1941 after the bombing of Pearl Harbor because he knows that he and other black Americans are about to be drafted into a segregated military. So that phrase, "should I sacrifice my life to live half American?" it just really stuck with me for the 7 years I worked on this book. Because he was asking a really profound question. What does it mean to serve a country that doesn't yet treat you as a full citizen? Thompson ended up serving in the Army, as did more than 1 million black Americans. And one of the real goals of the book is to try to honor those black veterans.
Wow. It's an incredible question that one would have to ask themselves. And you detail the roles of these Black servicemen and the women, and you talk about how they were treated abroad as well. What are some of the stories that really stood out to you and what they talked about, during that time period?
So these stories that Black veterans tell about their service during World War II are so powerful because they're deeply patriotic. They want to do everything they can to help win the war effort. The rallying cry for Black Americans during World War II was the double victory campaign, because they were fighting for victory over fascism abroad, but also victory over racism at home. And so these Black soldiers are doing everything they can to help defeat the Nazis in Germany, help defeat the Japanese army in the Pacific theater. But at the same time, they're fighting battles for freedom and democracy at home.
You write about Thurgood Marshall's efforts to uncover violence and racism experienced by Black troops and veterans. Can you talk about some of the details within this investigation and what eventually came out of it?
So during the war, Thurgood Marshall, who is of course best known as the first Black Supreme Court Justice, during the war, he is the head of the legal division for the NAACP, and he's traveling all across the country investigating claims and acts of violence against Black troops while they're still in the United States. He's going to bases in Alabama and Georgia, and then as far west as California in the Bay Area. And he's reporting on how Black troops are being harassed, both on the military bases, but also in the towns that surround these bases. He's trying to make sure that military officials are being held to account and actually trying to treat Black soldiers with the respect they deserve. Things got so bad for a lot of these Black troops during the war that they were writing letters back to the NAACP saying that they would feel safer once they deployed to the European theater or the Pacific theater than they would on these army bases in Alabama and Georgia. And so we really can't understand Thurgood Marshall's life as a civil rights hero without understanding the work he does during World War II.
And so they're experiencing this, but can you tell me more about, the Black participation and the overall eagerness that some of these soldiers had to serve this country?
One of the hardest things to come across as a historian and looking at evidence from this time period was after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, there are dozens of stories of Black men and women going to local recruiting offices to volunteer to join the military, only to be turned away because at that point, the military didn't have enough Black-only units to be able to assign these Black volunteers to. And these Black volunteers were just left dumbstruck because they want to join the military effort. They want to help defend their country, but they're turned away because of the color of their skin.
And, for a lot of people, this is the first time they're hearing stories about this. Talk to me about the importance of retelling Black history so that people hear these stories.
I think particularly on Veterans Day, it's important to talk honestly about the history of World War II. Sometimes we'd like to think that the country was more unified during World War II, but when you actually look at the evidence, that's just not the case. The entire military was racially segregated during the war, and Black troops and civilians were harassed consistently while they were here in the United States. They felt as though they were fighting a war here in the United States before they ever even had a chance to go abroad to fight the war. I think it's important to talk honestly about that history for two reasons. One, it's important to honor the service of Black veterans, without whom America and the Allies couldn't have won the war. But it's also important for us today because if we can't reckon honestly with that history, we won't be able to understand how so many of those issues are still with us today in terms of voting rights, in terms of racial equality.
Well, it was incredibly important. Matthew, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We appreciate it. And his book, Half American, the epic story of African Americans fighting World War II at home and abroad, is out wherever books are sold. And still to come here tonight, 18,000 military pioneers forgotten for decades, how a documentary is piecing together the past.
Zoo! 200!
Oh, 200. 200 episodes of Dr. Pol. Oh. Music to my ears.
It's been 10 years, and I'm still having fun.
That rocks. He's got the moves that make your animals groove.
Now we do the dance of joy. Yay.
He's like the Justin Bieber of the
Headlining the hottest barns.
Shout out.
It's a show you won't want to miss.
I'm not going to be here forever. Maybe.
The Incredible Dr. Pol. New episodes Saturdays at 9 on Nat Geo Wild.
With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any place else. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast, now streaming on ABC News Live. After an extraordinary news-making year, thank you for making ABC's This Week America's #1 news and politics show on Sunday mornings. He was there, inside the White House, loyally working alongside his president. He was there, right there, inside the Capitol, as an angry mob chanted his name with fury. And now, for the first time since the January 6th insurrection, the interview everyone will be talking about. Mike Pence, David Muir, Monday on ABC's World News Tonight and across all of ABC News and stream on Hulu.
And before we go tonight, an incredible story on this Veterans Day, decades in the making, about America's first Black Marines. They're finally getting the recognition they deserve in a documentary called Our Mission America, Mission Montford Point. ABC's TJ Holmes has more.
This beautiful photograph, my handsome grandfather, Private Mauricio Burns, very handsome gentleman.
Mallory Berger always knew her late grandfather was a U.S. veteran, but it wasn't until last year that she learned about his historic legacy.
Something led me to believe that, you know what, I think Papa is what we called him, was a Montford Pointer.
The Montford Point Marines, the country's first Black Marines. You see, up until 1942, Black men were not allowed to join the Corps.
They were the best and the brightest and the toughest. And I said, that's me.
An estimated 20,000 strong, but the U.S. military failed to keep records for all but 2,000 of them.
Hundreds of military records were lost due to a major fire. But even before the fire, there was no indication that there was a complete record.
That's 18,000 pioneering American heroes nearly forgotten until now.
I used to be offended when I would read about the Tuskegee Airmen and Buffalo Soldiers. I said, they're all recognized. I don't see no Black Marines. That used to bother me.
Berger and many others are on a mission to find the remaining living Montford Point Marines and the families of the deceased.
Majority of Montford Pointers are in their 90s or older. And we know that there will come a point when there won't be any of them. But we still have to figure out how we keep the story alive.
Their story, one of adversity. Those first Marines segregated from their white counterparts, facing brutal discrimination during training and deployment.
Once you came in that gate, you forgot about your name because you were either boy or
And the whole idea was to frustrate you so much that you would either quit and go home or stay in.
20,000 stayed, many deployed to combat missions during World War II.
President Roosevelt, he says, men, you have broken records that the white Marines have had for years. Send them overseas.
In 2011, the United States government finally acknowledged their achievements, awarding the Congressional Gold Medal collectively to the Montford Point Marines.
Very emotional day to be, for the first time, recognized.
And this year, on the 80th anniversary, 5 original members and 11 families of deceased Montford Pointers received replicas of that Congressional Gold Medal.
I stood on the shoulders of my grandfather. To see them, to see the ones that are still here, it is just, it's like reaching back in history and knowing I came from that. I came from them, and it's utterly amazing.
So it reads, for outstanding perseverance and courage that inspired social change in the Marine Corps.
If I could say anything to my grandfather today, we did it. We did it.
Wow, and that was TJ Holmes reporting for us. And to our Montford Marines and everyone who has served this country, we thank you for your service. And that is our show for tonight. Stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. I'm Kana Whitworth, and thank you for streaming with us.
It's lunchtime in America. So, what are we serving up?
Well,